Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This is going to be my October TBR that was picked for me by my Bookopoly board, which is 100% inspired by Becca from Becca and the Books. Her Bookopoly board, more specifically her 2021 Bookopalathon board, as a lot of the prompts I did borrow from that, but I will leave her channel linked below because she's the one that created the Bookopoly idea. But let's first, before we go into my actual October TBR, let's see how I did with my September TBR, which actually was the September Bookopalathon 2022 round. But I put my rules as the rules because it's basically the same rules. So I'm just looking over here at my list, and I didn't do that well. As of this moment now, I have read 3 that were on the TBR. Then I have one that I'm going to be starting tonight. I'm literally going to be starting A Court of Thorn and Roses tonight, which was on the Bookopoly TBR. It is the 28th when I'm filming this, so technically I will have that started by the end of the month, so it counts as a pass, which brings us up to 4. Then I started but DNF'd a book, which is 5, and then I swapped a book, which I allow 1 swap a month, which is 6, and then I allow myself one book that can be completely unstarted and doesn't go towards punishments, which is 7, but there was 9 books, so that means we have to do 2 additional rolls. So instead of the normal 6, which is my default, we're doing 8, which could be better, but also could be worse. If I didn't allow for some extra rules in place, it would have been a lot more, but because of my extra rules, we're good. I also will say for the rest of the year, I'm not doing punishments besides October. So if I fail horribly at October's TBR, there's going to be no punishments in November. And also, I'm treating this as more of a books I want to try to read in October, but if I don't get any of them read, that is 100% okay. There is also one readathon I am participating in, but I will mention that at the end as, well, we'll do the main TBR and then talk about the readathon. So let's just get started with rule number 1. So here we go. So here's the board. The last place we left off was this railroad here. And as I've already said before, we're doing 8 rules. So let's just start off with rule number 1, which is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, TBR game. So I have to have one of my friends play their TBR game for me, or play somebody else's TBR game that I can play myself. So I will have to see who will be willing to do this for me. So rule number 1 was interesting. I got TBR game, which I had my wonderful friend Sam from Yarn Reader, I'll leave her channel linked below, play her tarot TBR game. And how it works is typically she pulls 3 tarot deck, 3 cards from a tarot deck, and based on the what it means, picks a book inspired by it. But there are certain things that make it so that she can pull extra cards to get more books. And this is the photo that she sent. She just sent a photo of the cards and then the meanings. As you see, there's 5 on here. So we're off to a great start. Sam did say I can double up, and I am also adding the rule that since her TBR game gave me multiple prompts and multiple books, that I only have to read one of them to count the prompt as complete. But I am going to try to read all of them, obviously, because I love her TBR game, so I'm of course I want to be I'm playing it too. So if I look over here, I have my spreadsheet with all of the roles, all of the meanings for the tarot cards and all of that. So 3 of Pumpkins upright means team collaboration in building. So a friend picks a book, and I'm picking Scythe by Neil Shusterman because this is the late night bookworming book club pick for September, but the live show will be October 15th, and that will be on Morgan from Morgan's Bookshelves channel. If I mention anybody's channel or anything like that, they'll be linked below. But so I'm picking this as a friend pick because it is a book club that I have with some of my friends that I am a co-host for. So I'll leave the Late Night Bookworming Twitter down below. It's always linked down below. But Scythe basically is a dystopian slash utopian, I think it's technically a utopian book where death has been conquered, and we now have and we now have people called scythes that basically they are kind of in control of who dies because nobody dies naturally. And we then follow two apprenticing scythes, Citra and Rowan, who are being trained to be scythes, and they are being trained under two very different ways. And we kind of see that of how society works, how the two of them go about being trained, and overall just how life is. And I'm really excited to read this because this is a reread for me, so I'm excited to see if my views have changed on it or if they stay the same. Next is Six of Candles, means victory, success, public record, so a mood read. I'm not picking anything for this mood read. Any book that I want to mood read, I will mood read, or as I can double up between Sam's prompts, I could, for example, mood read Scythe, even though it's technically already in the TBR, but you get the gist. For Ten of Lightning reverse means reviving, rejuvenation, inevitable. So a book with a happy ending. I'm picking The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. This I'm doing a buddy read with a couple of my friends on Discord. So this, all I know is it's like there's these two people who don't like each other that are invited to a wedding. Everybody but the two of them get, it's like food poisoning, and the two of them end up going on the honeymoon because the bride and the groom are sick, and I don't really know anything beyond that. I've heard amazing things, so I'm excited to read this. So then there is a Moonology card, which is Believe in the Impossible, which I get to interpret it as I wish, which I'm kind of saying like a book I've been putting off, or a book that I'm uncertain I will like I could either love it or hate it. So I'm picking The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. This is like a new adult fantasy where there is this like secret society that these six people are invited to join, but they have to go through they have to do certain things like they basically have to do these things, but there's only 5 spots open, so it's kind of like it's a competition without an actual competition. And I've heard great things about this, but I'm worried because I haven't really read any dark academia that much, and so this is dark academia, but I really want to read it because the sequel comes out in October, so I want to know, is it worth buying the sequel or not? And yeah, but I've been wanting to read this since I got it all the way back in April, I think, so it's also perfect time. Dark academia, spooky season. I kind of feel like that's a perfect time to read it. And then Emotions Are Running High. I kind of interpret this as a book that will make me emotional for any reason. And so of course I'm gonna put A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas on here. This book makes me feel all the feels: happy, sad, emotional. It just gives me anger. It just makes me have all the feels. And this is the sequel to ACOTAR, which I love how I perfectly have that conveniently there so I can just grab it. But this, we follow Feyre, who she basically ends up having to she ends up killing this wolf that she didn't realize that was actually a fae, and in exchange for her killing this wolf, she ends up having to go into the Fae lands, and then there's this curse that needs to be broken. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This is my 3rd time reading it, so it's the same with ACOMAF, which is, well, A Court of Mist and Fury. I always say ACOMAF because that's the abbreviation, but I love this. This is one of my favorite books of all time. Top 10 books, honestly, maybe top 5. So I'm excited to read it, but I'm also I'm not ready for the emotions I'm gonna feel. So those are what we got for technically the TBR game, which it's weird. one prompt already has given me 5 prompts, but let's just move on to rule number 2. Rule number 2 is also a 5, and we'll just rotate this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is the color railroad. So I have to read a book that has a color in the title. So any kind of color, it has to be in the title. So rule number 2 gave us color railroad, which basically means there has to be a color in the title. So for this, I'm going with White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. All I know about this is it's like a mystery, horror, thriller, paranormal about a girl that has to move towns and things happen, and I honestly want to go in completely blind. I've heard amazing things about this though, so it works. Also, again, kind of like spooky season. I kind of wanted to try to get a couple of like kind of spooky-ish books on my TBR without being overwhelming, and I feel like I'll enjoy this one. It had a color in the title, so it was perfect. Rule number 3 is 3. So 1, 2, 3, a standalone. Okay, so a book that isn't a part of a series. Rule number 3 gave us a standalone, and for this I'm going to be reading Jinxed by Tori Heat. This doesn't come out until the 20th of October, but I have an ARC, so I might read it before or after, who knows. But this, basically, there's this haunted house, and we have this, like, there's this haunted house that people are said to always get trapped in and never leave. And we have Savannah, who goes into this house and then is trapped with these 3 men. It is a, like, why choose dark romance, meaning that basically she doesn't pick a certain guy to end up with. And I'm excited to read this. Since the moment it was announced, I was like, I am reading that. Rule number 4 is a double. Okay, so this is roll 4 out of 9 now, but that is 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. LGBTQ plus rep. So a book that has LGBTQ plus rep, whether that be the author, the characters in the story. And rule number 4 gave us a double. Okay, so 9 rolls or 13 prompts. But for this is LGBTQ plus rep, which means I'm going to put my reread of Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas on this list. This is also the late night bookworming book club pick for the month of October. And basically this is a queer YA paranormal where we follow Yadriel, who summons the ghost of the school's resident bad boy Julian, and the 2 of them kind of try to figure out how Julian died and all of that. And also during this entire process, Yadriel is trying to prove to his family that he is a real boy because he's trans, and his family still treat him otherwise. And this will be my 3rd time reading this book. I love it so much. I love the characters. It's just a fun, perfect, it's a perfect read for fall. I mean, the cover kind of screams fall. But I'm very excited to do a reread of it. So rule number 5 of 9 is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So monsters, so a book that features some sort of monster or monstrous character or anything like that. Rule number 5 gave us monsters, which I will be reading The Titan's Curse by Rick Riordan. And this is the 3rd book in the Percy Jackson series, which basically we follow Percy Jackson, who finds out he's a demigod, which means the child of a god. And it's him just going on these various quests and all of that. This is the 3rd book. And I need to read this for the Riordan Along, which is a read-along that I co-host with Morgan from Morgan's Bookshelves. I'll leave the announcement video linked down below, as well as Morgan's channel. But I'm excited to read this. I had this on my September TBR, and this is actually September's book, I should say. But the live show is tentatively scheduled for October 8th, but that might change depending on both of our plans. But yeah. roll number 6 of 9, I think if my math is correct, is 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The, of, and, that was difficult to say. Just one of those words have to be in the title. The next is the railroad. The, of, and. That's very difficult to say, which basically means one of those words have to be in the title. So for this, I'm reading The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. This is the sequel to Once Upon a Broken Heart, where basically we have Evangeline who, after finding out the boy that she's in love with is to marry another, she ends up like speaking with Jax, who is the Prince of Hearts, and kind of makes an agreement with him of sorts that goes awry, and then she ends up having to travel to this other like country because she is told to do so by like the ruler, and that's a very crappy description. I'm half asleep, it feels like, while filming this. I'm gonna be honest, but I enjoyed Once Upon a Broken Heart so much, so I'm really excited for The Ballad of Never After. I'm also doing a buddy read with a few people on Discord of this book, so I'm really excited. Also, the third book just got announced. Like, there's going to be a third book, so I'm like, I'm not emotionally ready for whatever cliffhanger you put us on, but okay. Roll 7 of 9 is 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A small book under 300 pages. So anything under 300 pages. Pretty simple. Rule number 7 gives us a book under 300 pages, and for this I'm reading I Know What You Did Last Summer by Lois Duncan, and this I don't know anything about. I know that it is what inspired, or what the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer is based upon. You'll kind of understand why I'm reading this a little bit later in the video when I talk about readathons, but like all I know is it's kind of like a horror novel. It's like 208 pages, I think, or at least that's what Goodreads says. And so I'm not a huge horror fan, so I'm not sure how this one is gonna go, but I guess we'll have to see. Roll 8 of 9 is 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A mood read. That is literally perfect. I could not wish for anything else. For rule number 8 is a mood read. So I get to mood read again any book I want to read. It could be one of the many books sitting behind me. It could be one of the many books I have on my Kindle. It could be something from my library. I don't know what I'm reading for this. I left the mood read spots open, so I literally could mood read. I have no idea what I'm even gonna put in them. So yeah, moving on to rule number 9. And final rule number 9 is an 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5-star prediction. So a book that I think I'm gonna give it 5 stars. And roll number 9 was our final roll, thankfully. And this, I got 5-star prediction. So for this, I am putting Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco. Kingdom of the Feared is the 3rd book in the Kingdom of the Wicked series. 3rd and final book. My copy actually should be here in a couple days because I had it pre-ordered. But Kingdom of the Wicked essentially follow Amelia, who her twin sister Victoria is mysteriously killed, and Amelia goes and tries to figure out who did it, but she accidentally ends up summoning Wrath, who is one of the 7 princes of hell, and the two of them end up trying to solve like Victoria's murder. And the 1st book is YA, the 2nd book is new adult, and the 3rd book is new adult, so I'm very excited to see what that entitles. But basically with Kingdom of the Feared, we're 3rd book in the series, so I can't really explain because I would spoil book 2, but I'm very, very, very excited. I gave both Kingdom of the Wicked and Kingdom of the Curse, which is book 2, 5 stars, so I really think that book 3 will be a 5-star as well. Now on to the readathon that I'm participating in. The readathon that I'm participating in is I Know What You Did Last Summer-a-thon, which is created by the wonderful Clint over at Reads Reader. I'll leave his announcement video down below. But so basically, this is a readathon that is hosted from October 16th through the 23rd, and in that week you basically read books at 5th prompts based on characters from like I Know What You Did Last Summer. So I'm just going to go through the prompts and what books I'm reading. And yeah, so prompt number 1, Julie James, a book with a paranormal element, White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. This also works for Ray Bronson, a 5-star prediction, White Smoke. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a 5 stars, but I think I'm going to rate it highly because I think that I will enjoy it. Helen Shiver, a book with a stunning cover, White Smoke. You cannot tell me that that is not a gorgeous cover. Barry William Cox, read a slasher. I Know What You Did Last Summer is a like slasher horror novel, so fits perfectly. Melissa Missy Egan, book set in a small town, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Max Nurick, a book featuring water, I Know What You Did Last Summer. And then Ben Wills, read the group book and or watch the adaptations movie/TV show. Obviously the group book is I Know What You Did Last Summer. I will be reading the book during the week. I will be watching the movie during the week and possibly watching the TV show that week as well, or I might watch it the week before. I know that I just want to watch the show, well, read the book, watch the movie, watch the show. So it depends on how fast it takes me to read the book that I'll know if I have time to watch the movie and the show, but knowing me, I will put priorities off to do that. So yeah, that is my TBR for October. It's a decent sized one for me normally, but I kind of slumped in September a little bit. At the time I'm filming, I've only read 7 books, I think, which for me is definitely slumping. So let's see if 13 books, because the 11 that were mentioned in this video and then the 2 mood reads, I did do the page math minus the 2 mood reads obviously, and I have to read 136 pages a day to complete the TBR, which is doable, but then depends on what I pick for my mood reads. It might make it a little bit more undoable, especially because I haven't read the last 2 days. There's probably been like 6-7 days this month I haven't read a single thing, and I really hope October's better, but also who knows. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what is one book you are reading in October, or just anything bookish in the comments below. I'd love to hear. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and bye!